Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. In Tang Jie's hands, the vermilion bird saber could not even display 5% of its power. It was like a child holding a big ingot. There were no adults around, so how could the surrounding people not be moved? The golden soul slave in the sky was overwhelmed by the attacks and was forced to retreat. The morale of the four extreme sex people was getting higher and higher, and they became more and more courageous as the battle progressed. Big brother Yunxiao. Yifan frowned and shouted, asking if he should help. Yunxiao's face was as calm as usual. He shook his head and sighed. The human soul is the most powerful when it has 7 emotions and 6 desires. The people of the 4 extremes trading company below have infinite courage from the 7 emotions. The soul devourers call this process of stimulating the soul power of the other party, pouring water. Flood? Yifan was stunned and asked in confusion. Some black-hearted vendors put a lot of water into the meat when they slaughtered pigs and sheep to increase the weight of the meat and sell it for more, Yunxiao said. It's the same as the perverts from the soul devourer clan. Before taking the soul, stimulate the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the other party, and the power of the absorption will be stronger. This explanation made Yifan's scalp tingle. Looking at Zhang Xiaotian's indifferent and proud eyes, his heart was filled with disgust. The water is almost done, we can kill him now. Zhang Xiaotian gently smiled and sent a seal into the soul-devouring flag. The golden soul slave suddenly showed a happy expression. All the attacks were pushed away and couldn't advance any further. The golden soul slave opened its mouth wide, and a large amount of saliva flowed down. It let out a strange kiki sound and suddenly rushed down. Gusts of cold wind swept down from the sky. All of the 4 extreme sex attacks were instantly destroyed. Even Dan Ziyang was shocked to find that they could not put up any resistance against the terrifying laughter of his soul slave. He was so frightened that he fled in a hurry. Whoosh! The long banner danced in the air. A large number of warriors screamed in horror and fell to the ground without any symptoms. Their souls were directly sucked into the golden soul slave's mouth and devoured. The terrifying atmosphere spread. Shanyang's body turned cold as well. After struggling to hold on for a moment, he felt a chill in his soul. In his shock, he roared repeatedly, wanting to self-destruct to hurt the enemy. Zhang Xiaotian's brows furrowed as he conjured a hand seal. The golden soul slave followed suit and sent a seal into Shanyang's body. The violent yuan qi was instantly suppressed, and Shanyang's felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His soul was extracted and swallowed by the golden soul slave. Arg! Help, help! When Tang Jie saw this terrifying scene, he was so scared that his legs went weak and he fled backward like crazy. Killing someone was as easy as nodding one's head on the ground. Since he was able to reach the 7 constellations realm, he should have long been aware of his life and death. However, who had ever seen such a thing as eating a human soul alive? Their minds collapsed at once. Kiki. After the golden soul slave devoured Shanyang's soul, it looked extremely satisfied. It ignored the others who had escaped and ran toward Tang Jie. Yunxiao's face darkened as he shouted. Don't hurt him. Zhang Xiaotian revealed a cold smile and said, I know what I'm doing. He changed the spell in his hand, and the golden soul slave seemed to be suppressed. It looked unhappy, but it was still extremely obedient. It stretched out a faintly discernible hand and grabbed Tang Jie. Tang Jie was so frightened that he fell to the ground. His legs were trembling so badly that he did not even have the strength to run. Shanyang's soul had been drawn out by such a grab. Beep! A strange cry came from the sky, and a ray of light cut down from the distance. It was a dagger, which directly cut the sky open, and its target was the soul slave's glabella. The soul slave's face turned blank. He quickly retracted his hand and retreated to avoid the dagger's attack. The dagger disappeared into the mountain in a flash. It was extremely sharp. Immediately after, a figure appeared in front of Tang Jie. The wind from his palm condensed and slapped toward the soul slave. The surrounding forces gathered and shook the cold air away, suppressing the golden soul slave. This person was Shen Feng. The power of a 9-stars martial supreme on his body pressed down, and the soul-devouring banner was suppressed by the domain in the air, rapidly shrinking. Sir Shen, save me, woo-woo. Tang Jie had just returned from the gates of hell. He was so scared that his entire body went weak. He crawled over and hugged Shenfeng's thigh as he started crying. This time, he was really scared out of his wits as his face was covered in tears and snot. Shenfeng frowned as he saw Tang Jie wiping his snot on his leg. A look of disgust flashed across his face. He gently pushed Tang Jie away with his foot and said, "Young Master Tang, everything is fine now. With this senior here, no one can hurt you." Only then did Tang Jie nod his head, his gratitude overflowing in words. "Humph, no one can hurt him? Do you think you're a martial supreme?" Zhang Xiaotian's face turned cold. Tang Jie also discovered the change in the situation and hurriedly rushed to the sky. He stood behind Shenfeng and said, "Sir Shen, quickly kill them. Now is the best chance, or else there will be endless trouble." Shenfeng furrowed his brows and looked troubled. It was not impossible for him to kill these people with his strength, but he would be severely injured. The environment was mysterious and unpredictable, and the more strength he had left, the more chances he had of getting out. Cough cough. Yunxiao coughed twice, then stood up and said, "This must be Sir Shenfeng from the skeleton mercenary group. It's an honor to meet you. I admire you. Why the hell are you getting involved in the matter between us and the Four Extremes sect?" Shenfeng was taken aback, thinking that Yunxiao was begging to spare. His eyes narrowed slightly. The man in front of him was someone Mr. Yu wanted to kill at the cost of his life. Although he could not see any threat from Yunxiao, he had always respected Mr. Yu's words. His eyes began to show a strong killing intent. "Humph, you're not qualified to kill me." Yunxiao seemed to have seen through his killing intent as he shouted coldly. He could not show weakness now, or Shenfeng would really attack him. He had to suppress his aura, so that the other party would not give up after weighing the pros and cons. "Even if it's you, he was defeated by me. How much stronger can you be than him? If it wasn't for the fact that this place is too dangerous and I don't want to waste my energy with you, the two of you and this beast would have died here." A hint of hesitation flashed in Shenfeng's eyes, but he eventually gave up and said, "The more afraid you are, the more you like to boost your courage. I don't like to be tricked by you, but you're right. This place is too dangerous, and I don't want to waste my energy with you. Let's talk about it after we leave this barrier." Shen Daran Lang Lang. Tang Jia was extremely anxious. He wanted to persuade Shenfeng, but when he saw the determination and unhappiness on the other party's face, he immediately shut up. If the other party was unhappy and left him alone, then he would really be dead. As long as they could get out of here, they could mobilize the experts of the Four Extremes sect, and they could kill Yunxiao. Yunxiao had been put on his must-kill list, and Zhang Xiaotian had been forgotten by him. The main reason was that Zhang Xiaotian was a member of the Soul Devourer clan, and even the Four Extremes sect could not afford to offend him. So, they could only use the hatred transfer technique to shift all the hatred onto Yunxiao. Killing him alone would be enough to vent their hatred. Yunxiao smiled, ignoring Tang Jie's murderous look. He turned to Shenfeng and said, "Sir Shen has entered the Unaging Mountain for a long time. Did you discover anything?" Shenfeng hesitated for a moment before he told him everything he knew. "I've just circled around the Unaging Mountain. It's full of life, but there's no sign of any primates. Mr. Yu and the others seem to have disappeared completely. There are also a few places that are very strange, and I don't dare to enter rashly. It's very likely that Mr. Yu and the others have gone in." He did not have any conflict of interest with Yunxiao and the others, and the reason he helped Mr. Yu was to use his strength to break through the shackles of martial honor. However, the environment here was giving him an increasingly unsafe feeling, and an indescribable sense of crisis was spreading in his heart. He could not explain the reason, but it felt so real. After he finished speaking, his eyes fell on Zhang Xiaotian. He thought that this group of people would definitely be led by Zhang Xiaotian. Moreover, the Soul Devourer race was the overlord of the Western region and had a high prestige in the hearts of the Western region's martial artists. They would definitely have a way to deal with it. However, Zhang Xiaotian was looking at Yunxiao, as if waiting for his answer. Shen Feng was taken aback by this. Sir Shen, Yunxiao said thoughtfully, since you have circled more than half of the unaging mountain and have not found anything, there will be no result even if you continue. You and the others aren't people who are reckless. Since they've already entered the restriction, they must have their reasons. This is our only hope of breaking through. Shen Feng also felt the same way. After a brief discussion, they all headed towards the restricted areas. The nearest unexplored land turned out to be a steep cliff. It looked no different from an ordinary cliff. It was rugged and made of mountain rocks. There were also some vines, wild grass, and wildflowers on it, which were slightly hot under the scorching sun. However, as soon as their divine senses swept up, they were immediately swallowed up. It was like a suction cup. Not only could it absorb divine senses, but when everyone tried to attack, they all disappeared on the mountain wall without leaving any traces. Strange, it can only absorb spiritual sense and vital qi. Yunxiao gently touched it with his hand and found nothing unusual. What if I do this? Waves of vital qi were emitted from his body, wrapping him into a ball of light and slamming him into the stone wall. Whoosh! He only felt that the space around him had changed, and everything in front of him turned pitch black. It was as if he had entered a strange place. Rays of light began to appear under his feet, crisscrossing in the space and forming squares that spread out in all directions. He was standing on one of the nodes, and the entire space extended infinitely. It should be some kind of restricted space, but the grid under his feet was very limited, forming a square plate floating in the void. Yunxiao looked at the crisscrossing and orderly lines under his feet and found them very familiar. Moreover, the parallel space formed by the lines was constantly rotating with the central line as the axis, and it seemed to be unstable. Is this place really Swan and I? Just as he was feeling surprised, the figures of Yi Fan and the others also began to appear one by one, followed by Shen Feng and the nine-winged spirit serpent bird, and finally, Tang Jia. He felt a little uneasy staying outside alone, so he gritted his teeth and rushed in. Yi Fan looked around in shock. Big brother Yunxiao, what's going on here? As the crowd appeared, the rotation of the parallel space began to slow down. Look at the lines under your feet. Don't you think it looks like something? Like what? Everyone was frowning and thinking hard, as if they couldn't remember. Go. Tang Jia's eyes widened as he shouted, go. This parallel space is like a chessboard. It was only then that everyone realized that there were indeed 19 lines in both horizontal and vertical, making a total of 361 intersection points. It was really a huge chessboard, lying horizontally in the void, vast and mighty. This is the king-level martial sovereign's profound-level weapon, the unaging mountain. What does he mean by placing a chessboard in his profound-level weapon? Zhang Xiaotian walked on it. There didn't seem to be anything special about it. He could move freely and there was no strange force restricting him. All of a sudden, light began to appear on the other side of the chessboard. Under everyone's astonished gazes, it was Sheng and the others, Li included, who seemed to be fine. The four of them also widened their eyes and looked at Yunxiao and the others in shock. Lord Sheng. Tang Jia's heart was filled with joy, as if he had seen his savior. He hurriedly ran over and said with wild joy, I finally get to see you, Lord Sheng. Shen Feng also stepped on the nine-winged spirit snakebird and flew over. That's great. Tang Jia was overjoyed, and with a ferocious look on his face, he stared at Yunxiao and the others and said, Lord Sheng, it's time to settle the score with these people. Yi Fan and the others were shocked and became alert. The difference in strength was too great, they were in danger. Even Yunxiao's face changed drastically. In this strange space, he could not feel any power of the four seasons, which meant that he could not condense rules at all and could only exert the power of a 4-stars martial grandmaster. In addition, the Divine Realm tablet had run out of spiritual energy, and little King Kong Gourd was seriously injured. He was afraid that he could not even defeat Tang Jia. The smile remained on Sheng's face, but the coldness in his eyes gradually grew stronger. You're Li Yunxiao, right? What a small world. I didn't expect to see you again so soon. I suddenly feel very happy. I wonder if you're happy? Yunxiao smiled awkwardly and said, as the saying goes, no discord, no concord. It's better to have one less enemy than one more friend. Peace is the most important thing in all things. It's better to get rid of an enemy than to keep one alive. Let's go through thick and thin together. Bullshit. Tang Jia roared, his face extremely ferocious. He gritted his teeth and said, Lord Sheng, this kid is extremely shameless and dangerous. Also, the man in white with a dark face next to him was a martial honor expert of the Soul Devourer race. He had to be careful too. It's better to get rid of these people as soon as possible to avoid any more trouble. That's right, you said. The others are fine, but we must get rid of this Li Yunxiao as soon as possible. I have a feeling that he will become a major threat to our demon race. Although Sheng did not take Yu's words seriously, he could not forget Yunxiao's 2 saint artifacts, and he was greatly afraid of him. A cold glint flashed in his eyes as he raised his hand and chopped down. He said softly, kill. The atmosphere on the chessboard instantly turned cold. The eyes of the big monsters were filled with killing intent and a light purple aura filled the air. Even Zhang Xiaotian was surprised. The killing intent made his heart palpitate. Li Yunxiao, I can't beat that beast. Help me. As for the rest, throw them to your companions. Those great demons were all martial grandmasters, and they looked about the same as Yunxiao. Although their killing intent was a little frightening, their cultivation bases were still there. In his opinion, with 3 martial venerables on his side, he could easily annihilate them all. The people of the Temple of Holy Fire all felt bitter in their hearts. Among those great demons, you could wipe them out by herself. If they were to fight, they would probably be completely annihilated in a few rounds.